Kamo, toto má reálne 2400 lajkov a 110 000 pozretí. Pravdepodobne niektorí z vás vedia, že ja osobne nemám rád Američanov. Hej? Podľa mňa sú to strašne prostí ľudia. Ale fakt akože strašne, hej? S tým, že máme tu video, ktoré je pre ľudí, ktorí si myslia, že je v pohode zaobchádzať s airsoftovými replikami ako s hovom. A vďaka takým ľuďom jedného dňa budeme mať podobný problém a budeme potrebovať podobné pseudotutoriály. Well, máme tu video, ako odstrániť oranžový rozoznávak zo zbrane. Toto bude peklo.
Yo, what is good YouTube? Welcome back to TS Blur. Today, I'm going to be doing a video that y'all have requested for so long, and I'm finally doing it, and that is how to take the orange tip off your airsoft gun. Before we get into this, I just want to say I would not recommend taking off the orange tip off your airsoft gun. It is the only thing that can really identify an airsoft gun and a real gun. So I would recommend you guys not take off your orange tips, but if you guys want to, and so please, this video is going to teach you how. It's not illegal or anything, so you're not breaking any laws by doing so. So yeah, I just wanted to say that before we get started. I would not recommend it for your safety to take off the orange tip.
A už sa mi varí mozog, pretože akože chápete tú pointu, ty vole, hej? Modroký diabol vám nechce doporučovať, aby ste to robili, ale ukáže vám ako na to. Wow!
But with that being said, let's get straight into it. So all airsoft guns are different with the orange tips. There's a lot of different ways that companies put on the orange tips. So there's a whole bunch of different ways you're gonna have to take it off. This depends on what type of orange tip your gun has on it. The first and easiest way to take off an orange tip, and if your airsoft gun has this type of orange tip, is literally just to screw it off. There might be some glue on the threads of the orange tip on the outer barrel, but if you need to do so, just grab some pliers and rip it off. But sometimes the orange tip on your airsoft gun might just be held on by the threads from the outer barrel, so all you would have to do is simply screw it off. And if you haven't tried this yet, I don't know what you're doing, but I just wanted to say that in case you haven't tried it yet, that you can just screw it off like this. On this one, the PLR 16, it literally just had thread.
Tá helma a sluchatka sú v súťaži pre členov. Typek, veľký gentleman, neodporúča demontovanie oranžových rozoznávakov, ale ukáže vám, ako to spraviť. Kamo, to je next level shit eatingu, hej? Modroký diabel nechce, aby ste to robili, ale ukáže vám to. To je OK. A potom nám vlastne ukáže, akým spôsobom to spraví a my sa vlastne dozvieme, že toto video, tento tutoriál sa rovná tutoriálu o tom, ako piť minerálku z plastovej fľaše.
That kept on the orange tip, so try that first before anything else.
Kámo, to je sranda. Človek si hovorí, že OK, s tým oranžovým rozoznávakom vyzerajú repliky strašne plastové, ako keby si ich kúpil na jarmarku. Pri tejto replike to neplatí, pretože ona stále vyzerá aj bez neho, ako keby si kúpil 5-eurovú jarmark pištolku. Well.
Try that first before anything else.
Vieš, lebo to je vlastne prípad replik, ktoré naozaj nepotrebujú ten plastový rozoznávak, lebo na to, keď sa pozrieš, kamo, tak útočníka, ktorý s tým na teba mierí, vysmieš a porazíš ho. Dáš mu uno kartu.
If there's glue on the threads holding on the orange tip from you simply just screwing it off, all you would have to do really is just fasten your gun to something, hold it really tightly and get something like this, just any sort of pliers, and then you would just squeeze very tightly and twist lefty-loosey, of course, and do it as hard as possible. It might be really tough and it might feel like you're gonna break something, but you know, sometimes they just have really strong glue on the threads of the airsoft gun. Now, if you have something like this, as you can see, this is a pistol Desert Eagle, a spring pistol, and it has an orange tip, but as you can see, there's nowhere to really access the orange tip or anything like where you could screw it, and this gun doesn't have any threads.
Vyzerá to ako niečo, čo by si chcel odhryznúť ako keksik a mal by si vybavené. Alebo zoberieš lepiacu pásku, oblepíš to okolo toho červeného styku a prefarbíš to za minútu obyčajným čiernym sprejom. Máš vybavené. Ale poďme sa pozrieť na to, ako sa to dá spraviť oveľa lepšie. Pretože Amerika vie, Amerika učí.
With this, if you want to get rid of the orange tip, my best suggestion for you.
Prosím ťa, povedz, že to odhryzneš. Odhryzneš to ako keksík a normálne dám ti like.
You is to just find some nail polish. black nail polish, of course, and all you would have to do is just paint onto the orange tip over it. This is the best way of getting rid of the orange tip, especially if it's not an obnoxious orange tip that's huge and it just looks part of the barrel like this one. All you'd have to do is just paint over it with black, or you could do a Sharpie or just any sort of paint, but I found
Američania sú tak strašne imbecilní idioti.
that nail polish works the best, and it is easy to remove if you wanted to remove the paint in a later time. I did this with one of my Glocks. So as you guys can see on this Glock 42, I literally just painted the orange tip. It was a metal orange tip. I'm sure.
Kde to bol ten frame?
As you guys can see on this Glock 42.
Tu si niečo zabudol, bráško.
I literally just painted the orange tip. It was a metal orange tip. I'm sure you guys remember.
To vypadá, ako keby si skôr okolo toho oblepil žuvačku čiernu. Sú čierne žuvačky, že?
But all I had to do was just paint over it with nail polish, and if I wanted to remove it at any point, I would just get some nail polish remover and then just remove it that way. But it did a pretty good job, I'm not gonna lie. It looks pretty clean.
Ty si odviedol super robotu, vyzerá to clean. Kamo, vyzerá to, ako keby ti to oplula Baba Jaga z bažín z hry Witcher 3, kámo. Reálne to tak vyzerá. Keby si to strekol čiernym matným sprejom, máš to do minúty hotové, nemusíš nič riešiť. Nie, ty si použil fucking lak na nechty. Tvoja mama musí mať z teba radosť. Kamo, reálne, tá replika teraz vyzerá ako nejaká bratislavská pipka na nechtoch.
The only part is, as you can see on the inner barrel, you still
Jesus Christ. Tak toto je podľa teba dobre odvedená a clean robota? Toto nechceš vyťahnuť na Airsoftovej akcii na typka proste. Nechceš.
Can see some orange on the inside, but I mean, whatever. It's a pretty good job. So you guys can try that as well.
It's pretty good job. A kto ti to pochválil? Ty sám?
If you don't want to actually remove the orange tip and just paint over it, it doesn't look that bad either.
Reálne, keby si tam nehal ten oranžový rozoznávak, vyzerá to lepšie. Ježiš, on nám to ide ukázať, ako sa to robí. Nie.
So yeah, if you have one like this, like on the Desert Eagle, you literally, all you have to do is just paint around it. Just paint over it with the nail polish. Very easy, very simple. Do a good job, go slow.
Vôbec sa mu netrasie ruka.
Unlike me right now, but yeah.
Kamo, jeho vlastná ruka sa mu spiera.
I mean, it does a really good job. The nail polish is pretty, you know, it's not very transparent, so you can't see the orange tip. You might have to do a few layers, but, you know, it gets it pretty dark. Here, I'll do it real quick for you.
Pretty dark, hej? To je ešte dovolené na YouTube hovoriť toto?
You guys and show you guys the end result on this Desert Eagle. Okay, guys, so here is my final result after only about 2 minutes of painting it with nail polish. Yeah, so it actually doesn't look too bad, and you guys could probably yeah, so it actually doesn't look too bad.
It actually doesn't look too bad. Precíť tento moment, tento frame. Precíť so mnou tento frame, kamo. Toto keď na niekoho vytiahneš, tak ťa tak vysmeje, že budeš mať hej ty, nie on. Kámo, tak toto je efektívna robota. Ty kokos. No, nie je zlé. Kámo, toto má reálne 2400 lajkov a 110 000 pozretí. Není si ty debil.
And you guys could probably do a better job than I can. You guys could probably take a lot longer than me at painting this and be more careful, but you know, it doesn't look too bad. And I recommend this a lot. You just have to wait for it to dry and be careful, take your time.
Odporúčam toto dosť často. Tie deti v Amerike s tými replikami.
If you want it to look good. Now, this is probably what you guys are wondering about is Airsoft.
Ono to ešte pokračuje. Čo tam ešte môžeš spraviť?
Pistols, they are probably the hardest to get the orange tip off because a lot of them do not feature any threads and they're just on there. So if you want to get the orange tip off of these, first I would try just literally grabbing it out. I mean, I think it's glued in there, but okay, so I was able to twist off part of it, but let's see how hard this is actually going to be because I know there's going to be some orange tips left still in the barrel, which actually might not be that bad if you guys don't care. Honestly, I don't really care as long as there's not a protruding orange tip, but as you can see there, I very easily just took off the outer part of the orange tip. Now the inner
Teraz mi
part
povedz,
is
ako to
still
chceš
in there,
odtiaľ ešte
and
vytiahnuť.
it's probably glued in there, so we're gonna have to try some other things and take apart this gun to actually get the orange tip out. So to do that, what you guys
Reálne typek to robí prvýkrát, ale chce vám to ukázať, ako sa to robí.
are gonna want to do is take off the slide. So there's a part right here. This part pops out. I forgot what it's called, but on this side you can see.
Prečo to nerozobral najprv celé než to začal trhať. A rozoberá to až keď to otrhol.
A little pin there and you gotta push it out. I'm gonna go get a mallet and a little piece to push it out easily. And we'll work from there. Okay, so as you guys can see, this part came off. Now what you're gonna want to do now is just rack the slide back forward, and then you can take off the upper of the pistol. Now you are left with something like this. Once you have this slide off, it's going to be a lot easier to just get the orange tip out, because now you don't have the lower and you can just see.
Počkaj, ty by chceš povedať, že nevyťahneš hlaveň, hej? Tak aký mal reálne zmysel, alebo prečo si to vôbec rozoberal potom?
The inside of the orange tip now. So what you can do is try to ply it out with some pliers. These might be a little bit too thick to pull out the orange tip. We're now probably going to try some smaller tools to get out the last remaining pieces of the orange tip, which I'm just going to look for around my house. This is becoming more of a challenge than I'm literally just prying out piece by piece of this orange tip so carefully and slowly, but it is working, and I'll get back to you guys when I'm done. Okay, wow, so that wasn't that hard. That only took about 5 minutes, and literally I just went around all the edges of the orange tip and just pry.
Takže musím uznať, OK, hej, tentokrát to vyzerá, ale mám taký pocit, že si trošku poškodil hlaveň. Ježišmaria. A Ježišku na kríži. Kamo, tak toto je ten najväčší blowjob, aký som kedy videl. Jo. Pokračovať nechcem asi už. Pokiaľ nechcete, aby sme museli nosiť tieto oranžové rozoznávaky na našich airsoftových replikách, tak poprosím vás, chovajte sa k vašim replikám, ako keby boli ostré. Majte disciplínu. Myslíte na to, že nemôžete to kadetade nosiť. Musíte to presúvať, všetko skované, v taškách, v bágloch, v kufroch. Keď toto všetko budete dodržiavať, tak všetko bude safe. Legislatíva nebude do nás hrípať a my sa budeme mať dobre, hej? Proste budeme si hrajkať. Teraz dal niekto saba. Thank you. A presne to isté máš aj s bezpečnosťou a dávanie si pozor na airsoftových akciách. Kamo, dávaj si bacha, kam šlapeš, dávaj si bacha, na akú akciu ideš, lebo nie vždy sú tie akcie úplne dotiahnuté do konca, to znamená, že tam nie sú zábradlie a podobne, môžeš sa prepadnúť kdekoľvek. Pozri si toto video a budeš vedieť presne, o čom hovorím. A nezabudni dať odber. Len tak medzi nami, dievčatami.